Welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve, where communication matters. Join us as we discuss effective ways to communicate, bridge the gaps, and build long-lasting relationships within your business and life. Here are your hosts, Asha Prasad and Steve Harper.
Welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve. I am Steve Harper. With me, as always, is my amazing co-host, Dr. Asha Prasad. Dr. Asha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Steve. How's it going over there?
It is going great. I am having a great day. I hope you are as well. And I'm
I
excited for
am.
today's topic. We're talking about coaching, right? We're in this mode
Yep.
where we've got a couple of episodes that we're going to be talking about this coaching process. And I had a kind of an interesting question posed by one of the listeners of the show where
hmm
they said, you guys talk about coaching, but isn't coaching just for athletes? And I was like, wow, what a great question and what a great topic. So I'm kind of anxious to see what we talk about relative to that because the answer is no, clearly, because we do what we do. But it's
Exactly.
interesting. I think people have this misperception about coaching
Yeah.
as it relates to mainly just athletes or that type of profession as
Yeah.
opposed to business owners and entrepreneurs and being a good leader and even being good employees. That coaches can help and benefit you there too. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting, Steve, because it's true. Like we typically think of coaching in terms of performance.
Yep.
So, but performance, and yes, I mean, there is the actual, like I'll take a basketball coach, for example. There is this technique, which don't you never want to ask me about how to shoot a three-pointer because that's just
Come
not
on, we
my
know you
forte.
can
But
dunk. We know you are. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little bit vertically challenged for that, but
You
that's okay. I accept that.
think we both are. That's what makes us get along so well.
You give me a trampoline to jump on and get, like that.
With those
I'll
spring
hop on
shoes
over
on
there.
top of that. Maybe I get up to the rim.
Exactly. There you go. But it's so interesting because this performance has to do with everything, right? There's a mindset that needs to be nurtured and helped that goes even before you even step up to that line to make that three-pointer.
That's
So that's
right.
why I think a lot of people forget about that point and think that it's only for athletes, but it's really for everybody because
It
of that.
is. And I think the funny thing about this is, the concept of coaching for a lot of people that aren't, necessarily thinking about the value of it is that you are if you think of a professional athlete, does somebody like LeBron James or Michael Jordan, since we're talking about basketball, can a
Right.
coach really add anything to teach these athletes that have been shooting free throws their entire life? Can you really add
Yeah.
any value? And the answer is yes, because we all have these tendencies, especially from an athlete's perspective, to we fall into habits, and oftentimes we don't see those
Yep.
habits where maybe we're not extending our wrist as much. And here I am talking like you and I are, professional, basketball players, but the technique that goes into getting the spin on the ball or the
hmm
curve on the ball or the angle or the approach that you
Yeah.
take, we fall into habits where, that might have served me 5 years ago, might have served me last
Yeah.
season, but maybe now it's not because the way I'm doing it potentially is dropping my ability to be as accurate or capable. And if you think
Yeah.
about the misperception, I think of professional coaching is that,
hmm
the same thing happens in our work lives, right? The
Yeah.
approach that we take to getting our jobs done or the leadership styles. It's kind of an ever evolving process. And we have
hmm
these approaches that sometimes we fall into either bad habits or we stop, maybe caring about some of the things that we cared about early on in the
Yeah.
early days of our business, or a new employee comes on board and we spend a lot of time in giving them attention and then we drop off. These little, the technical and the tactical things that tend to happen that actually do cause performance challenges, not only for ourselves, but the people that we are there to lead
hmm
or to work with. A lot of times those blind spots that we're sort of adapting or uncovering often get overlooked. And that's where, a coach, in a professional setting can really
Yeah.
help you and guide you, right? Attitudes, thought processes, the way you look
Yeah.
at, problems and how to solve them, a completely different approach.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that, it really does help you become a stronger version of the best version of yourself. Because,
Yes.
it definitely in identifying those blind spots and having someone that can, literally coach you along and see your blind spots for you whenever you're not seeing them also helps you strengthen your ability to do so. It's like exercising a muscle.
Yeah,
You get to learn how to exercise to be able to see those things and be able to learn about them, and it just makes you a better version of yourself. It makes you much stronger, because I think that's really what's important about professional coaching, personal coaching even. It's like
yep,
the more that you can strengthen, like really get in touch with your strengths and know what your weaknesses are and be able to work on them, the stronger that you're just going to become in everything that you do.
absolutely. Yeah, and I'd take that one step further and tie that back into coaching. When you enact a coach, right?
Hmm.
The value of a coach is that you are actually investing in yourself, and it's a form of self care, just like going and getting a
Yeah.
massage, getting stretched
Yep.
out. Going to any kind of activity that kind of makes you better. You the just meditation, the activities that you do to kind of get
Yeah.
your head in the game, those are all forms of self-care that we've talked about on this program
Yeah.
before. But coaching never gets looked at like that, and I think it's interesting
True.
because I think if you do look at that as you're trying to be the best possible version of yourself, and
Hmm.
you're having somebody there that is in your corner, that's there committed to helping you along the way, maybe see things like we said, the blind spots that maybe you're not seeing, or small integral steps that you can take to make improvements in various aspects of your life, or communication, relationships, etc. But really, at the end of the day, the coach, I think if the coach is doing well, they're building up your confidence, they're helping you feel better about yourself. And that, by and large, I mean, you're the medical professional, but that's got to have crazy amount of benefits for
Yeah.
your self-care and your health and mental well-being.
I mean, it really does, Steve, because it takes that stress and anxiety, it helps you channel it in a way. It teaches you really, whenever you have that backup, you have someone that's
Yeah,
really cheering you on and bringing, I mean, it really does. It really, and so mentally, you end up being you're more calm, you're more peaceful, and, you can handle more in the workplace and with your businesses in such a different way. I mean, it also, I think, one of the biggest things that it does do is it makes you more responsible,
oh yeah, I love
because,
that.
and
Yep.
especially, and I know sometimes it's like responsibility, yuck, right? Right. But sorry, I have no other better word for it. But sometimes whenever we think about being responsible, we're like, I don't want to be, we got
Yeah,
that little kid inside of us. But it really does teach us to be responsible, and it makes us a better leader, whether it's a leader or a manager or whatever. And we can be that for other people. So that responsibility of, setting these lofty goals and setting our targets, it it's that accountability piece
yes,
makes us more responsible. We're like, yes, you know what? I'm responsible for leading this team that I have, and I'm responsible for this. So let me take it on. I've got this person next to me that's helping me and, steering me in the right direction. It's one of those things, I think, all around, whether it's personal or professional coaching. I consider them one and the same, to be honest
yeah.
with you, because, as you work on yourself, you're going to be a better business leader. You're going to be a better business person and a person as a whole. So it really just spills over into everything.
I agreed, and I think a coach, the word responsible, I think, is really good because it does hold you accountable to something, right? What's the bigger
Hmm.
plan? What's the bigger game, that you're playing for? And here's the approach that you can take with somebody in your corner, guiding and directing and serving you in that capacity.
Yeah.
And it helps you do see, it helps you see that bigger picture, and it helps you do things differently that I think help you, along the way perform better. And if you think about that
Yeah.
component, right, just having someone point out, like, just because you're doing this, look at how many of these people within your team you're affecting, or how you're affecting
Hmm.
your prospects or your customers. Having that perspective reset makes you realize that, hey, every action that I take has an impact, there's a reaction to it,
Yeah.
right? And in that responsible person that wants to get better, do the best they can, be the best possible leader, or the best
Hmm.
possible whatever business owner that they are, they they need that wake up call, and that
Yeah.
helping hold you responsible as well as being accountable for your actions, I think is such a valuable resource, and sort of byproduct of the coaching relationship in general.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that, you know what, whenever people think about coaching, if they think about it like what you were saying about as a part of your self care, I think that that's huge because it really is. You know, you want to be the best version of yourself. Like, for example, if you want to take, better care of your health or your physical health, you
Yep.
hire a personal trainer, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
You know, it's this, I mean, or you go to the gym and you get guidance there. It's the same thing. Whenever you're wanting to be the best version of yourself and whatever it is, you're gonna need, it's always two is better than one,
Yeah.
basically,
Oh, I love
you
that. Yeah,
know?
that's a great phrase. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's a excellent point. Well, we could we're certainly going to talk a little bit more in upcoming episode about coaching, but I definitely want to sort of incorporate back to why that question got asked. Isn't it
Yeah.
just for athletes? The answer is no. Right. At the end of the day,
Right.
if you have a commitment to yourself, a commitment to how you want to grow and expand your career, you want to be a better
Mhm.
business owner, better entrepreneur, absolutely positively think about hiring a coach because I think
Yeah.
it is something that can be a complete game changer for you. So, Asha, as we finish up, I mean, they
Mhm.
have, one of the best coaches on the planet right here in you. So, how do people get involved in what work you're doing and how do they learn about, the amazing stuff
Mhm.
that you're doing? Because you've got some programs for people to sort of dip their toes into the water from a
Yeah.
coaching perspective, right?
Yeah, definitely. They can go to my website, drashaprasad.com, and they can find out all the information. I've got some self-coaching programs. Sometimes I get the question people because sometimes people are afraid
Yeah.
to take the step to get to hire a coach
Yep.
because they're just like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to get confronted with all my blind spots or not." So, so I've got some self-coaching programs on there to kind of get people, already doing that self-inquiry, but they can go to that website and contact us there, find out more information there. So,
Yep.
but Steve, you've got a really great virtual coaching program,
Yeah, we're,
actually,
we're
that I
right
think
now
is
we are
really
maxed
big.
out, but I mean we are definitely
Okay,
we've got some ways that you can at least get on the website at ripplecentral.com and get involved and get on my list. We're going to be releasing that again. We'll be opening up spots for it.
great.
Similar to your self coaching, it's an approach that I take with every one of my coaching clients to focus on three key areas that we run into in every situation
Hmm.
that I work with in a potential coaching client relationship. So you can learn more about everything I'm doing at ripplecentral.com. And for us in general, like if you're like, hey, I think my life would be greatly improved by having a little bit of Asha and a little bit of Steve in my life,
Yeah,
we will work together to be a united front
sure.
and kind of your coaching team, if you will. This is certainly not the reason we're doing this series, but if you don't know how to get started with coaching or you're unsure about it, we are probably the greatest people to probably dip that
Yeah.
toe in the water with. And so you can learn about that if you go to conversationswithashaandsteve.com. Website's
Hmm.
right there on the screen, and you can learn a little bit more, get on our list there. And if you've got questions, just reach out to Dr. Asha or myself, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it and even schedule an
Hmm.
exploratory call just to see if it's a good fit. We know coaching can make a difference. We've both personally experienced it. We know we've gotten to
Yeah,
greater heights with our career because of coaches, and we just want to be able to be in a position to give back to you in that capacity as well.
absolutely.
All right. Well, this was a fun episode as always. We'll be back again very soon with another episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. But until then, Asha, take care.
Okay, till next time.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. We love to hear feedback and questions from our listeners. Please feel free to visit our Facebook page for more tips and information. You can also email us directly at info@ripplecentral.com for more information.